Welcome to Amazement, a conversation about artificial intelligence and its impact on our lives, work, and society as a whole. I'm Maria, a surgical resident interested in exploring how AI is transforming the field of medicine and healthcare.
And I'm Donna, a technology business owner and entrepreneur. I'm exploring how AI is reshaping business and employment. Like many of you, Maria and I use generative AI tools now, like ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Claude, and we want to know more about AI's growing influence in our daily lives.
Our podcast name, Amazement, honors my aunt and Donna's sister, Dr. Mary Ann Donovan, also known as Maze, whose work at the UPMC Hillman Cancer Center embodied the integration of science, medicine, and innovation that we're seeing with AI today.
We're here because we want to share what we're learning about artificial intelligence, bringing together perspectives from healthcare and technology.
To kick things off, in today's episode, we are going to hear from someone who's never been shy about sharing his thoughts on emerging tech, Mark Cuban. In this clip, Cuban breaks down his perspective on AI and what it means for the future. Let's listen in.
If I was 16, 18, 20, 21, starting today, I would spend every waking minute learning about AI. Even if I'm sleeping, I'm listening to podcasts talking about AI, trying everything, because my whole Instagram and TikTok feeds are now AI hacks. It's one thing to have a business and how you integrate AI, that's one thing. But if you're just getting started, as you learn these things, it's so much easier to start. Now you have a mentor, whether you use Perplexity, Anthropic, Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, it doesn't matter. You have experts, and you might say, well, those hallucinate. Let me just tell you, your mentors and experts don't always get it right either. Right. So you've got these experts who can answer questions and help you understand what you don't know. You've got these tools that'll just spider everything, that'll do your emails, that'll do sales calls for you. Are you kidding me?
What do you think?
Absolutely 100% agree with him.
I like how he referred to it as a mentor.
Oh, me too.
Having a mentor right in your pocket.
Absolutely. And I can relate to him because we are similar age and we're entrepreneurial at around the same time. He saw the emergence of the internet and the World Wide Web and found a place where he could insert himself into the ecosystem and develop something that could be used and was of value and created a career and a business around it. And that is where we are right now with artificial intelligence in the early stages. And it just takes jumping in, like he said, spend every waking minute learning about AI and become an expert. You're not necessarily programming AI, but using AI for sure and aware of what it is. That's really what Marshall and I did. We recognized the internet and the World Wide Web as a technology that had immense potential, fundamental tool that everyone would be using. And in fact, that's what happened. It's commonplace. You can't imagine a world without access to the internet, right?
Yeah. And today's version of that big boom is AI. And it's interesting having Mark Cuban, someone who was in the center of the internet up and coming, a big entrepreneur, making these parallels with AI and encouraging
Exactly,
younger
Maria.
individuals to kind of follow his track, but with this newer technology.
Exactly. And it's amazing that it happened twice in his lifetime. I feel that way. It's amazing to me. I never thought, because once our business was underway, I just felt so grateful that we had seized the day and focused on the internet and focused on the World Wide Web. I used to work for a company that was a technology company. We used the internet all the time, but it was because we were interacting with research universities and the federal government, which is where the ARPANET emerged. And I was like, this is definitely a technology that the rest of the world, if it could get access to, would utilize. And that's what ultimately happened. And I see the same thing. It's amazing that in a lifetime, I never thought I'd see another transformational technology like that, but it is here and it is happening. I feel fortunate. I've been in the technology business now for over 35 years. I'm not going to be alive to see this one out for 35 years, but it's interesting. Artificial intelligence appears to be moving a lot faster than the internet and the World Wide Web did. It took years for it to really evolve to the point where I would say it became a commonplace technology, but artificial intelligence, people like us, you can't imagine a world without it. It's only been out for a couple of years, you
Yeah.
know? It's been around for a lot longer than that and in development for a lot longer than that, but only for a couple of years that the artificial intelligence resource has been made available to everyday people like us.
You hear about artificial intelligence every day, but hearing it from Mark Cuban was a little more inspiring because this is someone who is in a position of power, who's super successful, and
Yeah.
having him encourage you to use this technology and to grow with it and become an expert in the field in the way it suits you was
Awesome,
exciting and
right?
inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. And that's the thing I sensed from listening to him. He's excited about it. He was like, "You have an expert, you have a mentor in your pocket." And he kind of pushed back against, "Well, what about the hallucinating?" Which occasionally happens. But he said, "Your other human expert mentors, they make mistakes too occasionally. Don't use that as an excuse to avoid this," right? That's what he's putting the thought in people's mind. Don't let the few hallucinations that might happen stop you from using it. And then he also mentioned the tools. You have tools that will do things for you. Go through your emails, summarize them, summarize a 400-page paper on a specific topic that you're interested in. It is amazing what this
Yeah.
technology can do.
And it'll be interesting to see how the playing fields become a little more level within
Oh,
society. Because
yeah,
even
Maria.
I think of medicine, mentors is one of the most important aspects of your career and your trajectory and where you end up. And I think you're still going to need human mentors. Of course you are. But for people who don't necessarily have access to great mentors, you have one in your phone or even these little
Yeah.
agents. It frees up so much time. If you're trying to start a business and you don't have staff, having AI take over some of these other more mundane tasks frees up your time to do other more important things.
Such good insight, Maria. So true. It's interesting because I can harken back to when Marshall and I started our company. The playing field had been leveled to a certain extent by technology back then. Because prior to the early 90s, when we started our company, computing power, computer systems were extremely expensive. Like you had to spend millions of dollars on mainframe computers that had to sit in a climate controlled room. But during the 80s, personal computers started to become available. And that began the process of democratizing really access to this awesome compute technology. You didn't have to work for IBM or one of the other technology companies or work in a research university or a company that could afford a multi-million dollar mainframe computer. As mini computers, which were offered by digital, which were a lot cheaper than mainframe computers, and then personal computers emerged as an option that made technology available to us. And we needed technology to run the business that we envisioned. And of course, back then, Marshall was making the computers. We would buy the memory and the components and put them together ourselves because we had to. We needed certain kinds of computers. So the playing field became level so that we could jump in. The same thing is happening with artificial intelligence today. And everything, I mean, compute power is up in the cloud. So you have access to compute power that's required to run AI is immense, but it's made available to us because, well, OpenAI made ChatGPT available and suddenly, okay, here we are. We can use this. And who knows where it's going to go from here. It is so exciting. And definitely I sense that excitement when I listen to somebody like Mark Cuban talk about it. You can just sense that he sees the potential and he is excited about it.
And he's definitely someone who would not just hop on with a fad or something he doesn't see going anywhere. He's on Shark Tank. He is someone who's
Exactly.
looking for new ideas that are promising. So I think the
Yeah.
fact that he's full swing supportive of AI is very, very promising and exciting.
Me too. I can't wait to see the startups and the young people that just seize the day and do things, awesome things with this. It's very, very exciting.
I don't know the exact details. I need to find the clip. But my friend from Michigan was telling me that someone from her sorority was on Shark Tank and Mark Cuban invested in her. And this was recent. It's his last season. And it was an AI platform that essentially you input all of your information, things you do, things you're passionate about, your story, and it helps create a cohesive story for you to paint for your college applications.
Oh, that's awesome. So it gives you insight into a story that would resonate potentially with the college review committee or the
Yeah.
acceptance committees.
The purpose of this is to help individuals who aren't able to pay for those resources. Kids
Mm,
nowadays have everyone writing their college apps, things like that,
right. Yeah.
helping with their
Right.
essays, but essentially to reach those individuals who don't have the resources and again, level the playing field
I
and
love it. I'll tell you something. What I immediately thought in my mind is that's just the beginning. And that same resource could help you at the point where you're ready to interview for jobs or apply for jobs or have insight into what direction you should head in terms of what you study and what sort of career path you take. So I see that he probably did too. I'm sure that's why Mark
yeah.
Cuban invested in it. He sees big potential for that, and I do too. Yeah.
But what a perfect partner for her to meet on Shark Tank too,
Oh my
especially after
god, yeah.
watching that clip.
Oh, definitely. The fact that he's so excited about it. And I'm sure he's realistic too. I'm sure he understands warnings about getting too carried away, but he sees the potential and he's obviously from that story, he's investing in it. I'm sure he is
Yeah.
in many ways. Now, speaking of deploying artificial intelligence or actually utilizing it in certain ways, one of the things that I wanted to mention in our AI update segment is that our federal government here in the US, and in particular the US Food and Drug Administration, they have announced an agency wide rollout of AI technologies, and it will happen fast. By June 30th of 2025, apparently there was a pilot using artificial intelligence to analyze the documents that come into the FDA. And apparently the pilot was so successful, they've decided agency wide rollout of AI tools now is going to happen. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Do you know how long the pilot was run for?
I got the impression it was rather brief, but so successful. And is a reflection of the urgency of the effort. Dr. Macquarie, he's directed all FDA centers to begin deployment immediately, and the goal is by the end of June. Jin Liu, who's the deputy director of the Office of Drug Evaluation Sciences, quote, "This is a game changer technology that has enabled me to perform scientific review tasks in minutes that used to take 3 days. That is huge." Another quote, "I was blown away by the success of our first AI assisted scientific review pilot. We need to value our scientists' time and reduce the amount of non productive busy work that it has historically consumed much of the review process. The agency wide deployment of these capabilities holds tremendous promise in accelerating the review time for new therapies." That's a quote. Dr. Martin Macquarie, he's an MD, MPH, and he's the FDA commissioner.
Offsetting extra tasks that these
Yeah,
scientists are doing.
reducing the time for work to get done in the agency.
Crazy that it jumped to full force rollout.
It was so compelling. This is Dr. Macquarie again. A quote, "There have been years of talk about AI capabilities in frameworks, conferences, and panels, but we cannot afford to keep talking. It is time to take action. The opportunity to reduce tasks that once took days to just minutes is too important to delay."
It'll be interesting to see how the organization changes with all of this new free
Yes.
time.
Well, we'll keep an eye on it. The agency wide rollout is being coordinated by Jeremy Walsh, who is the newly appointed Chief AI Officer, and also Sridhar Mantha. So the FDA has a chief AI officer. The agency is going to continue to assess performance, gather feedback from users, and refine features to support the evolving needs of FDA staff and to advance its public health mission. So that's our AI update for today. What about what's happening in medicine? What's the topic for AI rounds today?
So, one thing that I came across, which I think is very interesting, is incorporating the use of AI into the medical school curriculum.
Hmm.
So, a big way that they're doing this is creating standardized patients via an AI platform. So, part of your medical education throughout as early as your first year and through your fourth year, you have these assessments where you interact with a patient and you take a history, do a physical exam, interpret lab results, imaging, etc. And then you come up with your diagnosis, your treatment plan, and oftentimes write a note to document all this, essentially to simulate what you'll be doing in the future. So, what schools are now doing is using AI generated standardized patients on a computer and incorporating an AI tool to respond to the students' questions and comments. And the tool evaluates the visit according to standards on which it's been trained, which are universal but may vary by school to school.
Mhm.
For example, UT Health San Antonio fed their AI program scores of simulated cases covering a wide range of conditions and symptoms, demographics, etc.
Mhm.
And staff provided important instructions. For example, be honest with your responses, don't offer any more information than what they ask for, don't make information up. And this is what they're using to assess students' clinical skills. And the AI is what scores them as well.
Oh, interesting. So you've been out of medical school for several years now. So when you were a medical student, your evaluation was based on an interaction with a person.
Yeah, so we had standardized patients that were actors, and our visits were recorded, and faculty and staff would score them.
I see. So now there's this new option. And actually, Maria, the AI patient, it sounds like it might even be a fairer assessment across the many students because it's been trained to behave in a certain way, whereas actors, they may say things or do things differently between each student, right? Because they're not
Right.
robots.
I think back to my clinical exams, there were multiple different actors who could be performing the same clinical condition, and they're
Oh.
actors, they don't necessarily have a medical background, so they may not know all the nuances to a disease, may give slightly different responses, so this definitely
Mhm.
seems like it's leveling the playing field, even evaluating.
Yeah.
Evaluations are subjective. Certain evaluators may place more emphasis on the clinical exam or making sure you hit XYZ questions. So having a standardized way to evaluate the actual interaction, I think, is also a huge plus.
Yeah, I agree. So this is happening where you said University of Texas in San Antonio?
University of Minnesota was also quoted in this
Okay.
article, but I've heard of many schools starting to adapt AI into these standardized patients.
Oh, excellent. We'll have to keep an eye on this.
Yeah, it's really cool. And there's a lot of AI being integrated into the medical school curriculum. So we'll definitely follow along with that. So we spoke about things happening within the medical community. What did you find in the work fields?
Well, interesting. One of the things that I found that I think is very poignant, and it's funny, it echoes right back to what Mark Cuban was saying, is that AI literacy is the most in demand skill of 2025. And that's according to LinkedIn. So AI literacy is the most in demand skill, which means professionals, and I'm thinking current professionals as well as the newly minted professionals who are graduating from college now or high school, whatever, they need to think about this that you need to pair AI capability with whatever skill you bring to the organization, whether it's in the sports world or the academic world or the medical field. I really think being aware of AI and understanding AI in conjunction with your own skills as a human is a very, very wise thing to keep in mind.
I'm sure it'll become the next proficiency. I think when I was applying to jobs early out of college, looking for Excel proficiency, things like
Yeah.
that, now
Yeah.
it's artificial intelligence because,
Yeah.
like he said, we're going to start seeing agents and it's going to become integrated into the workforce
Yep.
pretty soon, I think.
Well, it's already here to a certain extent, and it's going to be more pervasive. I listen to a lot of conversations with technology leaders, and they all say that the majority of the programming done in their companies is done by AI agents now. OpenAI, which is the AI company that gave us ChatGPT, the majority of their programming is done by AI. Satya Nadella, who's the CEO of Microsoft, says the same thing. Certainly, you expect it in technology, but I think we're going to see it's pervasive. Much like when I look back 35, 40 years ago, we were building worldwide websites for the handful of companies that understood that that was a smart thing to do. But it didn't take very long before every company wanted to have a website. And today, can you imagine interacting with a company that doesn't have a website? No. So I think we're going to see the same acceleration of adoption of artificial intelligence. And one other thing, there's a lot of concern about artificial intelligence taking your job. And what I keep hearing over and over and over again is don't worry about AI taking your job. Worry about someone who knows about AI and can use it taking your job. An awareness of AI and an understanding of how AI can help make you more productive, more efficient. If you don't use AI, then you're not keeping up. You're not going to be as efficient and productive as we need you to be. Yeah.
Even within the medical community, all of these AI startups that we're seeing or pilot studies we're seeing within the hospitals with AI technologies very clearly say we're not trying to replace doctors. We're not trying to replace
Right.
hospital staff. We're trying to make you more efficient,
Mhm.
improve your workforce, and free your time, and essentially just
Exactly.
augment the
Yep.
professionals.
That reminds me, I remember reading somewhere or hearing someone on a podcast say that physicians spend a very large percentage of their time documenting their interactions with patients. Well, now there are tools and resources available where an AI can listen in on the conversation, capture the conversation, and do the note taking for the physician and potentially even suggest maybe these are some of the things to think about. Why not? Why not have that
Yeah.
kind of assistance?
Not only does it free up time for the physician, but one of the things that patients often complain about is that they're not talking to their physician, they're talking to the
Oh,
back of their physician because they have to document everything.
good
So
point.
having this additional technology helps to restore that physician patient interaction that is so crucial to
Yes,
medicine.
good point. So anyway, AI literacy, that's my message for AI at work. Become literate. And like Mark Cuban said, just spend every waking minute, especially if you're young and you're looking for a path, spend every waking minute understanding how AI can make you more knowledgeable, more efficient, more productive, and more interesting. So we talked about the workplace, but what about everyday life and how AI is available to us as a resource every day?
For our AI toolbox tip for the week, I wanted to talk about using these AI platforms in everyday life.
Mhm.
So for me, I work full time. I have a puppy. My time's pretty limited. So I try to be very efficient with meal prepping. One of the biggest flaws is when I go to the grocery store, I get a little overwhelmed and I often buy too much and end up wasting food. So, what I've been doing is I've been feeding my dietary preferences into ChatGPT, Claude. Those are typically the two platforms I use the most. And I'll say, I want to have a beef dish, a chicken dish. I want eggs for breakfast. I want meals that are easy to meal prep, that store well in the fridge, and that I could use for leftovers. I want to spend X amount of dollars. I'll be going at this grocery store. Please provide me with a shopping list, recipes, and a daily meal plan. And I've been doing that every week, and it's been great. It frees up so much time. It gets rid of all the planning for me. It even tracks, because I'm trying to eat more protein dense foods, it even tracks my macros for me and has been such a time saver. I can't imagine going grocery shopping any other way.
That's great. And you can actually specify this grocery store where you shop, and it knows products that are in that store, and
Yep.
ChatGPT can recommend a grocery list based on what is there. Oh my God.
And
Isn't
you
that
can
awesome?
even tell them, because I've done it with Trader Joe's, I've done it with Sprouts, I've done it with Whole Foods. So I could say I want to spend $100, say, on groceries this week. I'm
Yeah.
going to Trader Joe's and it'll give me a list. I'm going to Whole Foods, it gives me a list, and it'll even break down. Okay, at Whole Foods, if you get a pound of chicken, it should cost this, and it'll give you everything.
Wow, that's great. And you use, I mean, that's, my God, the beauty of ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, all of them. You just pull up your phone, say, here it is.
And
Yep.
then at the end, it always asks, do you want this as a note friendly format for your phone? And I say, of course. I download it into my note. Then I have my little
Oh,
checklist that I check
great.
off as I go shopping.
Oh my God, I love it. Absolutely love it. My AI toolbox contribution this week has to do with physical fitness. I work out with a personal trainer, but only once a week on Wednesdays. And I want to work out on other days. And the thought occurred to me, let's see if AI can help me out. And in fact, since February, I have worked out on alternating days with an AI personal trainer, let's say, and the workouts are fantastic. I use the AIs that have a voice interface, so it's ChatGPT, Grok, and now Perplexity. Unfortunately, Claude does not yet have the voice modality. So basically, I turn on my phone and I talk to AI, and usually I'm asked, well, what kind of workout do you want to do today? And I rotate between upper body, lower body, core, and a total body workout, and how many minutes I have time to spend, 45 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever I can fit in that day, and what equipment I have. I tell the AI, and what I get back is a fantastic workout. And actually, I go through the workout with the AI working out beside me, so to speak, in the sense that we go through the exercises. I let the AI know when I'm done with each round or each set of repetitions. And what's interesting is if I don't understand or don't know the particular exercise that's recommended to do next, I get a description of how to do it. The AI will walk me through it. It is awesome. I have a busy schedule. So when I can fit in a workout, I just take my phone, go out to the garage where all the equipment is, and turn the AI on. And I get a really good workout. So that's my AI toolbox suggestion for today. And that brings us to the end of today's episode of Amazement. Thank you for joining us as we explore the fascinating world of artificial intelligence.
Your engagement makes this podcast even better. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so share your feedback. It helps other curious minds discover our conversations.
Do you have questions about AI? Do you want to suggest a topic for us to explore? Do you know of someone who would make a great guest on Amazement? If so, we definitely want to hear from you.
And remember to subscribe so you don't miss our upcoming episodes. We've got fascinating discussions ahead as we continue to explore artificial intelligence.
Thank you for being part of the Amazement community. Until next time, keep exploring, questioning, and learning about this fascinating topic.